Hi, welcome back to Medicine for These Times. I'm Beth Weinstein. The other day, I wrote an email to my email community. And by the way, if you're not already on my email list, I highly suggest you sign up for one of my free trainings you can download on my website, including a free training about how to start and grow a business within the psychedelic space. I send emails about once a week, sometimes less, sometimes more. And these emails are filled with very helpful antidotes and stories of various things that I've learned by coaching many people within the coaching, healing, and psychedelic space over many, many years. And the other day, I wrote an email that was titled Bursting the Psychedelic Facilitator Bubble, something like that. And this email was all about this glorification of being a psychedelic space holder or a psychedelic facilitator, an underground facilitator, or an underground therapist, or whatever you want to call it. Essentially, someone who is not a legal licensed psychedelic therapist. And as we know here in the Western world, where most psychedelics are still illegal and controlled substances, there are actually very few totally licensed psychedelic therapists operating out there. And of course, there are some, but there's definitely more underground facilitators. So, as a business coach within the medicine space and other transformational spaces like coaching and healing and spiritual work, I hear from people very often who say, I want to be an underground therapist or I want to be a facilitator. I really want to help people with psychedelic healing. And look, I totally get it. In this email, I wrote how common it is for people to have a very transformational psychedelic experience and then feel this desire to share this psychedelic experience with everyone they know. I, of course, have felt this, and I'm sure those of you listening have had these highly transformational experiences where you feel like, wow, everybody needs this. This could transform the world. I want to be a part of this. And the first instinct for many people is to just want to start holding space. And, I'm not saying everybody feels this way, but there are some people who think, wow, I've heard that some of these underground facilitators charge, $2,000 to $3,000 a session, or they hold ceremonies with 20 people and they're charging $300 to $400 each. Wow, that seems like good money to just do this once a month. So there are some people who are driven by the fact that this sounds easy. It definitely seems fun. It's psychedelics, it's ceremonies, it's helping people. And I really do believe most people who are called to this are just, in their best interest, wanting to make a difference in the world. And what this email I wrote about the glorification of being a psychedelic facilitator, what this email was about was the fact that there's actually a lot of, you know, really hard truths and harsh realities when it comes to being a facilitator. And I know this because, yes, I have worked with a lot of underground facilitators who are actually building legitimate legal arms of their businesses. And I, of course, have worked with a lot of underground facilitators and am friends with many and have sat in these spaces for a very long time now. So, yes, I have been part of this for a while. And I've also been witnessing what's been happening over especially the last year and a half, that because the psychedelics and the availability of these medicines have grown exponentially and the demand has grown exponentially, like everybody wants to do it and everybody keeps hearing about these benefits. What I have seen is now there are more psychedelic facilitators than ever before, which, on some level, I am sitting here saying, wow, this is amazing. Maybe we can actually help everybody on the planet. Maybe there is this crisis happening where everyone does need an underground facilitator. There is this part of me that agrees with that and believes that on some level. And what I'm starting to see is that a lot of people are actually coming to me, including a few people who have joined my new cohort of the True Path Entrepreneur Group Mastermind program in 2024. We start it very soon. A few of the people who have joined this program are people who have been operating as underground facilitators for a while. And, they've done okay. They had some level of consistency, and all of them have said the same thing recently. that they have been getting burnt out, that the consistency has fallen a little bit. I think my theory is that's because of the supply being bigger than ever, meaning you can get your hands on psychedelics a lot easier than ever before. I mean, I have been around psychedelics for the last 30 something years of my life, and I cannot even believe what I'm seeing out there, just how readily available everything is, like not just mushrooms, but now it's like MDMA and there's other drugs. And then, of course, there's ayahuasca ceremonies. And then there's, people growing their own mushrooms. And then there's cannabis therapy. Now there's DMT pens. I mean, it's just widely available. And there's a lot of people, whether we are saying they're skilled or unskilled or trained or untrained or doing good work or not doing good work, that is besides the point. There are a lot of facilitators out there of all shapes and sizes all over the world because I meet them all the time. And here's the thing, I'm not saying that there's so many, there's not enough for everybody. I actually don't believe in that. I always believe in abundance, and I believe there is enough for everybody. But here's where the harsh realities come in. What I have been hearing and what I've been witnessing is that there's only so many psychedelic sessions you can hold as an underground facilitator. The reality is, it is very energy consuming. So, even if you are a master of energy, which I would guess that a lot of people who are holding the space actually don't really understand energy to the level that they probably should. But again, that's not what this episode is about. But when you're holding people's traumas, you're holding their souls, you're holding their hearts and their entire lives in that space for a period of time. And, on some level, you are operating in the multidimensional with them. And this can be very draining. It can also be very rewarding, of course. There's another side to everything. But what I have been hearing from a lot of these people who've been exploring my mastermind program is that they're just physically burnt out by this. And there's also this other reality that very few people talk about. It's kind of boring to sit and hold a 5-6 hour long space for someone. And let's be honest, a lot of underground facilitators are not playing live music. They're maybe not doing anything. They maybe just throw on a playlist and sit there, you know. And I think there's a lot of glorification about how easy this sounds and how you're helping and making a difference and you're getting paid thousands of dollars to just put on a really amazing playlist and make sure they don't die. And again, I'm not sitting here trying to say who's right or wrong or that there's anything, any particular way of doing it. But the glorification of space holding, I think we just all need to be aware of the realities of what it's like. And I think we do need to start talking about the fact that maybe there are other ways you can contribute to the psychedelic renaissance without having to be a space holder. Here's another thing. For those of you who are looking to get into space holding or just starting, especially for, let's say, those of you who are younger, what do you imagine doing in the next 10, 15, 20 years? Do you imagine holding 2 or 3 or even 4 or 5 sessions a week for the rest of the next 20 years? Do you know anything about spiritual hygiene and energetic cleansing and how to hold a really pure channel and a pure space for this person's soul and this person's traumas? And we can get really deep into this, but you're also holding their some people don't believe in this, but I do. Their ancestors, any entities and attachments and parasites that might be in their field. There's a lot happening in the multidimensional space here when you are in a psychedelic ceremony that a lot of people don't talk about. Number one, because I think a lot of people don't even know what that is and they don't know how to handle it and they've never been trained and they've actually maybe not even had enough experience to be in these kind of places where they're dealing with multidimensional beings and whatever we want to call them. We don't even have to give it a name, but energies because no one really knows, right? But there are many, many energies when you're in this space. And if you don't know how to actually work with those and hold yourself to a certain level of your own energetic purity and hygiene before, during, and after these sessions, you can actually start really getting affected by them in many ways that you might not even understand. And I know this because it's happened to me and it's happened to many people I know. And I'm extremely thankful that I have had so many great friends and mentors over the years. And also, I've had a lot of challenging experiences that I've had to go through in order to understand, oh, what was that experience that just happened? And how do I deal with that in the future? For those who've worked closely with people that we might call shamans, I know that that word is not to be thrown around, but the reality is there are a lot of great shamanic healers and practitioners out there, including shamans that work with various medicines. And when you start to understand the shamanic space and these realms of how they operate, then you can understand why these experiences might affect you, especially if you're the one holding someone in, let's say, a complex trauma or really tough depression or major transitions going on that might involve some really heavy and hard things that maybe you don't even understand. And this is what I think a lot of people are not discussing is the realities of being a space holder and how it's so much more than coming up with a nice little playlist and getting your hands on some mushrooms and finding a cozy spot for people to sit in or lay in for 5 hours. It goes much deeper than that. And this is what I talked about in that email that I wrote, which I highly recommend you read. I have interviewed people like Rick Doblin of MAPS multiple times over the years and other great leaders in the medicine space. And I have asked them numerous times, how is it that one can start to create a career or a business within the psychedelic renaissance? And what if they're not already licensed therapists or doctors? How can someone get involved without having to be a licensed therapist or an underground therapist or an underground facilitator? And if you go back, these are right on my YouTube, and listen to any of these interviews, you will see that Rick says there are many complementary businesses that we are going to need that we already need. So, for example, for those of you listening, and I hope this is everybody, let's say you've done psychedelics once, right? Or more than once. You know that you go in there for a particular reason, whatever your intention is. You also probably know by now that the psychedelic experience did not cure you overnight, right? I would actually love to know, did your psychedelic experience heal everything you came there to heal in one session? I mean, it has happened for certain things and certain people and maybe with certain medicines, but generally, the truth is it's a lot more to it, that it's not this miracle one shot and done and that's it, you're good to go, you're a perfect human being now. No, there's a lot of integration and also the preparation and the day-to-day work that makes the psychedelic experience actually be effective in the world, in your life, in your being, in your soma, in your energy field. And this is why Rick Doblin spoke multiple times about becoming a coach or becoming a psychedelic informed healer or an integration coach, or maybe it's microdosing along with whatever your specialty is. I have clients that work with men. I have clients that do sexual trauma work. I have clients that are working with women, clients working with people who have certain ailments and issues with their body, with their health, people who have divorce, going through divorces, whatever it may be. There are many ways to be a psychedelic coach or a psychedelic informed coach or healer in your own unique specialty that actually has nothing to do with giving people psychedelics. And in my free workshops, which by the way, I am hosting one very soon. So if you're not on my email list, I highly recommend you join it so you can hear about my next workshop. But in my workshop, where I do teach about how to start and grow a psychedelic business, I am constantly talking about all the other opportunities where people need to have, let's say, a coach that understands the medicine path you're on. Let's say you just came off of a big experience. I don't know. You went to an ayahuasca retreat, or you came off a high dose psilocybin session, or integrating a big life changing Bufo ceremony. Now, it's not necessarily that you want to continue working with that facilitator. It's that now you need help from someone who understands what you just went through, who can also help you with whatever your issue is. For example, if you're trying to heal some anxiety or try to find direction in life and figure out your next steps and your purpose, or you're going through a major change or a divorce or a major loss of someone in your life, and it's kind of like you just need support, but maybe the regular old therapist isn't cutting it, or maybe the life coach that's never done a psychedelic wouldn't cut it. And this is where there's an opportunity for you to be in your specialty, but also be part of the psychedelic renaissance, where you have a psychedelically informed or a psychedelic assisted healing or transformational business. Coaches, healers, different kinds of therapists, you know, mentors, guides, something like that. And this is what I help people do all day, every day inside of my True Path Entrepreneur Group Mastermind program. And the whole point of the email I wrote and the whole point of this episode is to show you that there's many, many opportunities for contributing to the psychedelic space that do not necessarily put you at risk, put the other person at risk, and burn you out. And the one thing I will say that I have been finding interesting is that a lot of these psychedelic facilitators and underground guides are coming to me saying, "Hey, I've noticed a decrease in business or a lack of consistency, or some months I have a lot of clients and some months I have very few, and they want to grow their business." And here's the thing: when you have a fully illegal business, it's a little hard to grow it. These kind of businesses tend to be word of mouth unless you are willing to take the risk to market your illegal business out there in the world. So it kind of puts you in this bind. And that's where I'm getting more and more of these underground facilitators coming to me to say, look, I realize I want to have a legitimate legal business because number one, I don't want to have to depend on my illegal business. But number two, I'm also getting really burnt out and I want more consistency. This is what I've actually been doing for years. I've had many, many clients who have been serving medicines and developing real legitimate businesses where the medicine piece of their business is maybe just a portion, because we all know that the medicines can only take anybody so far. I am so happy that psychedelics have really gotten into the mainstream and gotten the level of notoriety and momentum and recognition and respect, hopefully, that they have gotten. But at the same time, I and many leaders in the psychedelic space alongside me will be the first to say that we all know that it's much more than just the psychedelic experience. It is the day to day to day. How do you bring this into your life? How do you integrate it? And what is it you're going to go do? And this is where the support from an integration coach or some kind of psychedelic assisted, a psychedelic informed healer or transformational guide or a transformational leader of sorts will be the way that someone actually gets the real benefits from the psychedelic itself. And this is why I'm encouraging you to take a look at what else is out there, especially if you're struggling or getting burnt out or you're really sick of depending on an illegal business to keep you afloat. I would say now is the time to really get your business set up and in order and like be one of the psychedelic pioneers and leaders out there in this space, because it's only growing exponentially and there's only more and more people stepping into it, and people need your help. This is everybody's realizing, like, even if they go on one of these really big powerful experiences or a Jamaica retreat or an ayahuasca dieta, whatever it is, they're all realizing, like, well, that didn't fix my problems, I need more support, and this is where you have an opportunity to come in. So this is what I can help you do. This is what I do inside of my True Path Entrepreneur Group Mastermind program. This program begins towards the end of January. The cohort is already filling up. If you decide you want to join now, I'm actually offering a couple special bonuses. And it is an amazing group of people so far, and I can't wait for you to join us. Feel free to reach out and ask me any questions about it. You can also apply for a one-on-one call with me to learn more about the True Path Entrepreneur group mastermind program. You can also check out my previous episode from a few weeks ago that was all about this amazing mastermind. And I'm not just saying this because it's my program. I'm saying it is a really incredible community of like-minded medicine folk just like you. And being inside of this mastermind is just unlike no other, to have this community, to have this ceremony of you stepping into this next level of your expansion and coming out the other side as one of the leaders and pioneers in the psychedelic ecosystem. So I highly encourage you to look into this and reach out to me if you have any other questions. Otherwise, thank you so much for your service, and I'll see you next week. Bye.